Welcome to Other Worlds Oracles, a show where we build fictional worlds through designing fortune-telling cards. I'm Autumn, and I seek enlightenment from the cards. On today's show, we have invited the wonderful Dee. Dee, what do you seek from the cards?
Today I seek clarity.
Clarity. Clarity
Yeah.
is nice.
Yeah.
Well, I am wondering, what is your experience with world building and storytelling?
Well, I don't really have any direct experience with world building, other than when I was an extremely imaginative child and
Mm-hmm.
built lots of worlds in my head. Probably a protective mechanism, but that's a different show.
You know, yeah, I think that's, more than counts. I think we could always do with more of that as adults.
I agree.
Yeah. And so this show, how about as far as the other component of this show, have you ever had your fortune read?
I have had my fortune read.
How'd that go?
Really good, really vague.
Yeah.
Really, really vague, but really enlightening, uplifting.
Good.
I enjoyed it.
Good. I'm glad. Some people have a much more direct experience and find it a little alarming.
Yes, I've heard horror stories of people not having a good experience, but for me, the experiences I've had have been very peaceful and enlightening.
Good. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm also curious, would you like to have your fortune read today?
Yes,
Okay. Do you mind if we use the cards that we've built in the series?
I think that would be amazing.
Excellent. Okay, can you pick one or two?
Two.
Okay. You have this card, which is called the Sparks Reflection.
Ooh,
So, like the reflection that belongs to the sparks.
okay.
A soldier in tattered fatigue stands at the edge of a lake, dipping a toe into the water. Sparks, almost like fireworks, dance above the surface like fireflies. The soldier's reflection is made up of these sparks, and when they touch the lake, they have a sensation that feels the way music sounds. Each color of their reflection makes a different note in the symphony, and it changes them. Is the reflection the image in the lake? Or is it the soldier reflecting the image in the lake? It all depends on your perspective. The themes of this card are things like peace, renewal, and coming away different than you came. And so we have this meaning of you may need to step back and take some time away to see something from a different perspective. Take a breath and pause to reflect. This is when your eureka moment will come.
Oh, that seems very promising.
It is promising, I think.
Yeah.
Are you able to take a step back?
Yes. Not to the weekend, but yes.
Well, then maybe that's what you got to do.
Take a step back.
Yeah,
But that sounds like it will bring clarity from what you were saying.
I hope so.
Me too.
Yeah. The way this is going to work, if you're ready for building the card,
Yes.
is we're going to design a card similar to the ones in a tarot or oracle deck with three main characteristics: a setting, a main character called the arcana, and some kind of artifact called the symbol. We will draw cards with prompts and assign them to each characteristic, giving us a direction to start in. From there, we will build on each concept until we have fleshed out a story combining all three elements. We will then determine what the card will look like and what its meanings could be. Ready to get started?
Yes, that sounds good.
Excellent. Let's pull the cards. So our first one is fractal.
Fractal.
Yes. And we have those three places to put it. Where do you want to put it?
Fractal. That's fun. Let's put it as a symbol.
We have a fractal symbol. Our next card is ruins.
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 I think that sounds like a setting.
I think so too. Which means the last one is our arcana, and it's labeled bite.
Bite.
Yeah, has an angry doggo on the picture.
Bite.
So we have a setting of ruins, an arcana of bite, and a symbol of fractal.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I certainly think so. That's a big breadth of possibilities. How about we start with the setting? What does ruins bring to mind for you?
Ruins, old things.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like you would see in like Rome or Greece.
Yeah, for sure.
Makes me think of that. Also makes me think of Stonehenge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe some place that used to be something important or something where people would go that isn't anymore. but the ruins are still there.
Interesting.
And then I was thinking about when I was a kid and I used to go hiking in the mountains in West Virginia, and we would come across like old house sites,
Yeah.
and you could see like the foundation of somebody's house where it had been, and I would consider that ruins too, just in a different way.
What do you think of like buildings? Like I think about how I've seen pictures sometimes in places like big cities in Europe where you'll have right next to a castle like a Subway sandwich shop, just
Yeah.
like right next door. Do you think that's a kind of ruin in that change, or do you think that's still something different because it's still being used?
Huh. That's interesting because then I think it could be a ruin because we have let go of what it used to be.
Hmm.
Like the building's still there, the whatever.
Yeah.
The castle's still next door, but now you've got this really modern thing like a Subway restaurant.
Yeah.
So I think it's an interesting juxtaposition. I never would have thought about it as ruins, but I suppose it could be.
I guess I also don't know what came before it because I have this perspective of in the beginning, like maybe it was something just as mundane.
Could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, ruins, though, with that word, and this may just be me, but it feels like it has a connotation of something sacred or something important or something that meant something to somebody at one point.
I'm going to steal a phrase that you use. Go with that.
Yeah. That is one of my favorite phrases. Yeah, I'm just thinking it would need to be something special. Like, I wouldn't consider it a ruin if I came across, like, an old toll booth. Not for me, 'cause it doesn't mean anything to me.
Mm.
But was talking about coming across somebody's house, to me, that touches me because you're like, okay, people lived here. This was important to them,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So I think for me, ruins implies that there was something special about the place at one point. And maybe still is. Maybe some of that's left over.
Is a haunted house a ruin?
I think it depends.
Tell me about that.
I would say it could be, but if people are still living there,
Mhm.
I would not call it a ruin.
Right.
Yeah. But if it's like a museum or just dilapidated,
Yeah.
not being used, then I would call it a ruin.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what the definition of ruin is. Maybe I should look that up sometime. But
I mean, isn't it more about what it means to us, at least in this circumstance?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're thinking about ruins in the terms of the setting, remember this card can take place on Earth, it could take place in space, it could take place in the past, the future, anything. So
Ooh, it could be the future of our planet, like the ruins that are left over from Earth when we have done enough to destroy our planet to where it can't sustain life anymore.
I like the way you phrase that because we are not going to destroy the Earth anytime soon, but we will destroy the Earth we can live in pretty easily.
Yes, the Earth will survive us.
Yes.
But we may not survive us.
Correct. And ruins remind us of that.
Yes, they do.
That things stand longer than we do.
Yeah. So they kind of talk about our lack of permanence
Mm.
in the world. We are temporary, but these things are still here.
Yeah. And they are also temporary,
They are.
but less.
Less so, yes.
So what do we have for this future Earth? Do you think of a certain landmark or do you think of a certain scene?
I think of like all of the national monuments and things that are very popular,
Yeah.
and what they would look like.
Right.
You know,
What would stay up and what
would
wouldn't?
stay up, what would come down, what would have graffiti on it, what would be taken over by nature or the animals. Because nature does reclaim spaces. That's
Absolutely.
part of what's cool about ruins. When you go to see a building, you
Yeah.
see where nature's growing over
Yeah.
different things.
Yeah. You really can't stop life.
You cannot stop life.
Yeah. And we have this future Earth that you mentioned. What are the colors you associate with this scene?
I would say orange, red, black, kind of like a post-apocalyptic thing. Where
Are you thinking like how the sky looked like several years
Yeah.
ago, where all the wildfires were really making everything just like this sickly orange when you looked around?
Yes, just like that, and the smoke and the kind of like the smell of like decay.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned the smell. Is there any other sense that comes to mind?
I think it would be interesting because you would have that smell of decay and you
Yeah.
would see those ruins around of things in different stages of decay.
Yeah.
But then you would also have rebirth
Mm-hmm.
that would be coming with nature taking over the space and
Yeah.
regrowing. So there would be smells associated with that, maybe even cleaner air,
Yeah.
um, fresh air,
Yeah.
things like that.
Absolutely. There's something very sweet about how all my guests want to include rebirth in their meanings. There's something very sweet about that. I don't know what that says about this project or the people I collect around me, but I like it.
It may say something about that. It may say something about human nature, which
That too.
is just like life will survive, we want to survive.
Yeah. Yeah. Did we pick a place? Like,
No, we were talking about that.
yeah.
I was trying to think. It would have to be, we're talking, we've destroyed the earth, so it would have to be inland
Yeah.
because a lot of things might be underwater.
Right.
So, like, you could do the U.S. or you could do. Where do we want to be? I'm trying to think of what the map looks like and what looks safest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. Maybe like South Dakota, where the
Mm-hmm.
Mount Rushmore is.
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting thing to look at as a ruin.
Do you think that it would? Oh, we're going to get political on this, aren't we?
Yes, of course.
Of course. So, we have a place that was sacred to the peoples that lived there that was then literally blown apart to make the faces of the founders of this nation.
Yes, and I think that is perfect because it's a ruin in more than one way.
Yeah.
It would be a ruin for the Native American folks because, we took that away from them. I
Yeah.
wasn't alive, but it still
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we made it something that was special for us, which makes
Mhm.
me think we recognized that there was something special about this place,
Yeah.
or we wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And then to see that, that didn't last, it got destroyed. It's getting destroyed too. I think
Yeah.
that's really kind of full circle.
And maybe, coming back to something more similar to where it was before.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
nature's reclaiming
Yeah.
what was taken.
There is something very, very visceral about the thought of like faces being weathered.
Weathered, like you'd
Yeah.
see grass growing,
Yeah.
and trees and
Yeah.
animals, and
Yeah. And for all we know, glaciers or something
be
else.
glaciers.
But I don't know how far ahead we are, but
whatever changes because of what the humans are doing to the earth could
Yeah.
cause so many different natural phenomenons.
yeah. So we have this rock face that has been restored to more of an unplanned.
Natural.
I was going to say natural, but are humans unnatural?
We are not, but we don't naturally grow in rock.
That is true.
I can be literal, sorry.
I suppose what I mean is like we like to think of humankind as this creature that is separate from nature, but I know we aren't.
We are not separate from nature. We are nature.
Maybe the things we build aren't, or are they? I really can't tell.
Depends on what we build it out of. Like something carved out of rock is still nature.
Yeah.
Something built out of wood is nature.
Yeah.
So
I mean, isn't everything Earth that we touch?
yeah.
Short of a few meteoroids and
Yeah. But in my mind, this place would be hot.
hot.
Like almost unbearably hot.
Yeah.
Which is why it didn't sustain human life any longer. But
Right. And that place in particular, I don't know that part of South Dakota, but I did live in that area, and there was, less water to moderate the temperature of things. So I can imagine it getting to some pretty extreme states in this world where everything has been amplified.
yeah, I think it would definitely get extreme, and there would be a shortage of water and a lot of heat. Animals would have to take shelter like during the middle of the day, those kind
Yeah.
of things.
Yeah, I think about all the kind of like rich tech people who are like, well, we'll just find another planet, and I'm like, well, there's so much left behind,
Yeah.
and if you're gonna fix a whole planet, why not this one?
The one we're already on?
Uh huh.
I agree. Let's fix this one.
Yeah. I guess that's kind of what comes to mind when your whole focus is extracting value from things, is to take what you can and move forward to something else.
With no concern for what you leave behind.
Mm-hmm. It's sad.
It's very sad.
What do you think this arcana of bite does in this setting?
Bite. For me, it's defensive,
Yeah,
violent even, but
yeah,
only as a means of defending itself from being harmed.
right.
So it could take the form of like a bear or
Mm-hmm.
a goat or really any kind of. It may not even be.
Corporeal?
Yeah, that one, corporeal.
Is it an animal or is it some kind of like legacy of the human experiment?
I think it is older than that. I think it
Yeah.
is something that would date back to even the Native Americans or before. Like it's the animal spirit
Oh, okay.
that it would fiercely defend itself with bite.
Interesting. I'm trying to figure out how we do that in a way that isn't like appropriative.
Yeah, I don't want to be appropriative
Yeah.
at all. We don't want to take that from the Native Americans. It's not ours.
But the earth does have some sort of spirit to it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And I can imagine that spirit having something very definitive to say about what we've done to it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the spirit being enraged
Yeah.
about the destruction of Earth.
Well, I'm also wondering, what is it upset about, seeing as, like we said before, we have disrupted an Earth that we can survive? What is the spirit angry about in this future?
Well, as you said, we are all part of nature,
Uh
and
huh.
as humans, we are animals.
Yeah.
The spirit could take a human form if it chose,
Hmm.
but I think that the spirit has this respect and value of life,
Right.
and to see that we knowingly destroyed the planet, killing numerous billions of animals and people.
Hmm.
Some animals would survive, but not
Yeah,
all of them.
that's true.
It's just a lot of death and loss for nothing more than refusal to take responsibility for our own actions.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that really makes sense to me as like, you didn't do this unknowingly. You had a chance
Yeah,
and you made something else more important. And
yeah.
that makes me angry. I want to be like that dog and bite.
I want to be angry too and bite. And I think how we avoid appropriation is we acknowledge that this isn't a new ideal. It's not one Autumn and Dee
No.
had. This is older,
Yeah.
much older than us or our civilization or our people.
What form does this spirit take, do you think, just as a visual?
I think it takes what it needs to for the situation, but in a defensive pose, I think it would take like a bear,
Yeah.
like a grizzly,
Something big with strength
big and strong
and
and
sharp.
scary.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think it's defending?
It doesn't want to see, now that Earth is healing
Yeah.
and recovering, it doesn't want anything like that to ever happen again.
See, now I'm just getting into this very deep, like, planetary intergenerational trauma thing, and maybe
Yes.
like that's a thing to really consider when we're thinking about that far out,
Yeah.
of like, okay, we there wasn't much we could do about a giant asteroid coming in and wiping out a lot of the creatures and plants on this earth.
No. But
But
we certainly could have intervened to prevent the continuous warming of our climate
yeah,
and our planet.
yeah, it's a very different circumstance.
Yeah.
And, I mean, are we going to talk about trauma here?
We are going to talk about trauma.
Okay. So, we have these early experiences in life that come up and set like the foundation for like future traumas to really trigger, right? Like we have these basic beliefs deep down about like certain insecurities we might have or fears about the future.
Absolutely. I think trauma, early trauma especially, shapes our view of ourselves,
Yeah.
other people, the world, everything.
Yeah. Our perspective of where we are in the web of the earth.
It does. It changes our perspective.
Yeah. And then when like this secondary trauma of like, oh my goodness, humans have taken out so much with them, I can only imagine what that reminds the earth of in the past.
Yeah. I think that's a good thought because there has been a lot of war on the earth. There's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot of to go around, and I think the earth does absorb that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This is really bringing something up for me because I'm looking at the symbol as fractal.
Yes.
And that is so appropriate for this conversation because you zoom in, you zoom out, and it all looks very similar.
Yes.
On the big scale, on the micro scale, you have these periods of destruction, rebirth, everything happening all at once. And I can only imagine what this spirit is kind of bringing from its past into the present in this future.
I think that is a great thing to think about. And when I think about it, I'm considering not only what the spirit is bringing from its past,
Yeah.
but also what it's not bringing. And what I mean by that is that opportunity lost of we did this and we didn't do that. So now we have to grieve that
Right.
while we're dealing with what we did do,
Yeah.
which is this.
Yeah.
And I can see that that would be difficult
Yeah.
to accept. Because I think what the bite wants, the earth
Mm-hmm.
wants, has and always will be balance.
Yeah.
It wants all of the creatures on the earth to be in balance with the earth.
Right. I can only imagine like maybe a spirit like this could be, maybe like waiting for us to get our act together. And I could only imagine how angry it would be if we didn't.
I see it as waiting for us to get our act together, but also as trying to push us towards getting our act together. I mean,
Yeah.
think of all the things that happen with climate change. We're having
Right.
flooding and hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes. And for me, these are like the spirit saying, hey,
Yeah.
this isn't working.
I mean, does this quickly become about boundaries at a certain point?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like if you let things be too lax and you don't stand up for yourself, then people can walk all over you
So how does that relate back?
because the earth is something we walk on. Sorry.
I actually love that. We do walk on the earth, but we kind of live inside. I know it's not inside, but on the earth. And we're kind of part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, for better or for worse, we think of Earth as mother, right?
We do.
And, that could be a whole gender talk at a certain point of like, why do we expect femininity to be gentle? Maybe in this case, she isn't anymore.
Well, even like the best mother
Yeah,
can be pushed too far
of course.
and no longer be gentle,
Yep.
which is also at times in the best interest of their children, not to be
Yeah.
harmful, but to have accountability for their actions.
Do you think that this is what that bite is? Is this spirit saying, okay, we're going to take charge again and we're going to try to stand up for things that we've been letting go?
Hmm.
I don't know. What do you think?
I'm thinking about it. Yes, I think I can see that perspective where the spirit would be kind of biding its time, waiting, hoping humans will do better.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So disaster.
Yeah.
And now here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I liked your relating it to trauma, though. I liked that a lot. That,
But that's become an interesting thing. In story, we have stories have to have a beginning, middle, and end, and they have to be finite in some way in order for us to consume them.
yes.
And that oversimplifies trauma because it just keeps going.
It
There are
does.
ways that it can be resolved, obviously, and, we're familiar with that, but there are things left behind.
There are always things left behind. And I would say, not that it can be resolved, but it can be managed.
That's a very good point.
Because being exposed, as you know, to a trauma reminder, even after you've went through treatment and been, cured,
Right.
will still put you back into a PTSD episode.
Right. And, maybe you've found a way to manage one trigger, but another trigger has not been, covered by your experience of healing. And so you have something completely new to figure out.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common.
Of course. So I guess to kind of get back to like, how do we tell a story about trauma that is both honest and, I mean, do we want to be hopeful?
I think being hopeful is just part of being human. But I don't know if we want to give the story any hope. I think just the rebirth and the renewal is hope.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. But then this angry, defensive bite character may not be interested in hope
Yeah.
in that way.
What does hope look like when you're feeling like there's no chance of going back? I guess there's never a chance of going back.
There is never a chance of going back.
Yeah.
But maybe you're asking what hope feels like when you're put in a situation that you didn't ask for and you don't have control over
Yeah.
and you can't readily change.
Right. When we lose control,
We lost control.
what do we do?
Well, I think as humans, we scramble and try to find some semblance of control. But as a spirit, I don't know what we would do.
You're saying we. Do you mean like the earth?
Like the earth, yes, the earth.
Yeah.
This character that we're talking about.
Yeah. Do you think it would maybe see that control was part of the problem?
Say more.
What if the spirit sees that in humans' efforts to control everything around them, they lost the ability to work with everything else?
So in humans' effort to build this artificial society, they lost their connection with the earth, basically.
And each other.
And each other.
Yeah.
And the animals and just all of it.
Yeah.
We forgot that we are all connected, and it takes that balance of all of us in order to make it work.
It's easier to find control when you're by yourself.
Yes. When you don't have to take anybody else into consideration.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so maybe do you think the spirit maybe takes issue with that and decides, like, we're not going to control the situation. We're going to work together to find community and to find reconnection?
I think it could. I think as long as it's not feeling threatened.
Do you think it still would?
If it were feeling threatened?
Yeah.
I think it would defend first.
Right.
And then look for connection.
Do you think it would feel threatened, though, after the humans are gone?
After the humans are gone, it depends, And maybe the way that we bring this into our story is this is where this thing exists and where someone could visit with it, but it possibly could move like through time and like talk to people now trying to say, hey, this is what happens. You don't want this to happen. Make a change. I don't know.
Yeah. I could see something as important and wise as Earth having the ability to be able to travel through the temporal dimension of being everywhere, every when, all at once.
Yeah, I think so, because the being is in the future, but it's also now.
Yeah.
And it's in the past.
I mean, I guess we all are to some extent. We have our limits of how far, but
yeah, we all have, past, present, future, but most of us can't actually talk to people in the past or the future.
But you think the spirit could?
Yes.
Do you think it uses some sort of fractal geometry to do that?
It could. I like that. That could be where the fractal comes in. It could also come in with the trauma.
Yeah.
Because what does trauma do to us? It fractures.
Well, when I think of fractals, like I fall back on my math experience, and I think about how fractals kind of defining characteristics are that if you zoom in and you zoom out, they look the same. And I think of trees in that way, where they branch off from each other. You zoom out far enough and it looks like a tree. You zoom in far enough, it looks like a tree because there's little branches with smaller branches.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe, kind of like this like multiverse theory of like at every decision point we have a different path we can go down and it branches off into a different universe. Like I wonder if the Earth can see all of that tree.
I would say yes. I would say the Earth is present in all of those realities at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then that would make sense as to why it would be really upset, because it can see a different path.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
Ow.
That's enough to make you want to bite someone.
Yeah. I really like that. What do you think the symbol looks like in this
That's
card?
interesting. I was thinking, so geometry.
I mean, could it be a tree?
It could be a tree. It could be a tree. Is there a symbol in geometry for fractals?
I mean, like the classic one is the one on this card, the Mandelbrot series,
Mm-hmm.
but like it could be anything that has that kind of pattern.
Has that pattern. I really like the idea of a tree with roots. That way you can kind of see the trees past, present, and future through like the roots and the tree body and the leaves
Yeah.
and the buds and stuff.
Yeah.
And the tree could also sometimes be blooming and sometimes not.
Yeah, we don't bloom year round.
We do not.
And I wonder if maybe this tree, I'm just thinking visually how we represent everything now.
Yes.
So, we have this ruins backdrop of, I really want to look up the name of what they called Mount Rushmore before.
Oh, yeah. I think we should do that. But I think that's a beautiful thought that even though people didn't decide to do the right thing and give the property back to the Native Americans, eventually the earth did it, took it back.
Yeah. Okay, so the mountain itself was known to the Lakota people as the Six Grandfathers.
Wow.
There were other names as well, but that's...
The Six Grandfathers. That is interesting that that's where we decided to put our male, elderly, I don't know what you call them, role models, political leaders.
Yeah.
Is on something that was sacred for the Six Grandfathers. I mean, that seems almost mean or...
I think it is mean.
Yeah.
I think it's cruel.
Cruel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. It seems cruel.
Yeah. And is the earth spirit maybe in the form of like a bear or something looking at this tree of time, and like within one of those branches you zoom in and it's this scene?
I love that. Yes.
Or is that scene where we're at and we're like looking at the tree of time?
I think it would be hard to determine where we're at because we're saying we're this, this earth spirit is everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
So I like the representation of the bear
Uh-huh.
and the tree
Yeah.
kind of in a non-corporeal place.
Yeah.
And then it can look at the branches and see this and this.
Yeah.
What might branch off here. And it can also look at the roots and see what
Ooh.
is down there.
Okay. Now we're creating a tree that has many, many, many different places to look at.
I'll show you how I visualize it, like this tattoo on my leg that you can't see, but it's got like roots that are all entangled, and then it comes up and has leaves.
Is that like a Celtic knot?
It is a Celtic knot.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what the roots are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really like the idea of that tree with the knotted roots and all the places it goes up into.
I do too.
The various alternate realities. What's one other reality we can put in the tree?
Another reality we could put in the tree is humans actually paid attention and didn't destroy the earth.
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
What does that look like?
We could do a reality where we didn't take this land from the Native Americans.
Right.
And what does that look like?
Right. I have seen this very, very cool game before. It's a TTRPG, so like D&D. It's called Coyote and Crow. It was developed by indigenous creators, and it puts forth this entire alternate future where Turtle Island was never invaded and colonized. And there are some really beautiful things that they talk about in that, of things like, it's like near futuristic kind of technology, but from a very different perspective.
Oh, okay. Kind of like Black Panther, but
yeah, exactly.
different.
Exactly.
Yes. I would like to see the future where instead of trying to bring everybody together in this country and assimilate to one culture, that we respected people's individuality and let them maintain their culture. And what would that look like now?
Yeah. I mean, it very much calls to mind like the idea of like a monoculture versus a diverse ecosystem.
Yes, and what nature does teach us is diversity is always stronger.
Absolutely. Different perspectives, different...
Mm-hmm. We know that with plants. We know that with genetics. I mean, we know that.
Yeah.
Having diversity always makes us stronger in nature.
Yeah. Is it like maybe a house in like surrounded by forest in this other alternate dimension where like people of different appearances might be all together playing or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. I was picturing it in a more zoomed out view of kind of like looking at the country as a whole and
Yeah.
what does that look like and who lives where and,
Right.
you know, things like not having smog and not having
Yeah.
a lot of things that I think if we had been more respectful of different cultures, it would have opened us up to not feeling like this was all ours to do with what we want
Right.
and not thinking about the consequences.
Yeah. And the control.
And not needing to be in control.
Yeah.
Because control is an illusion.
Sure.
We are never actually in control.
No.
It just makes us feel better to think that we are.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes it's terrifying.
Yeah. I guess what I'm thinking about is it should be parallel to the original imagery of
Yes, I do too.
of the reality in which we don't care for each other.
I was thinking about being at the mountain of the six grandfathers.
Yes.
And, different kinds of people visiting there to learn about the culture of the Native Americans and to be respectful and offer something of value in exchange for learning about their culture, not just taking the knowledge.
Yeah, some sort of offering to the community.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Which in my mind would be how this kind of future would work is it's not transactional, but we support each other across communities.
It's symbiotic.
It's symbiotic. If this community has something that community needs, then we share.
Yeah.
Because we know they're going to have something we need.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully it would be because we care about people, but...
Well, that's what this reality is all about.
Yeah, people caring about people. And I don't think we can even imagine the ways in which things would be different had those things happen.
Yeah.
Just culturally and politically.
Yeah. Maybe we need to start thinking about it, though.
I think we definitely need to start thinking about it before it's too late and we end up in the reality that we started in.
Yeah.
Where we've destroyed the earth and it can't sustain us anymore.
Yeah.
And I think we're already at a very dangerous place where we're so disconnected with the earth and our environment around us that a lot of humans are suffering with mental illness and feeling disconnected and lack of purpose and so many things because we forgot that we're all part of something bigger than ourselves.
I think that's a really big part of disillusionment is just like how do we move forward if it feels pointless? What is our purpose in all this? Because, some people will flock to different schools of thought to like look for that purpose where as kind of in us and out of us and everywhere.
Say more about the different schools of thought. I just want to make sure I'm following.
Like the idea that like our purpose is to find connection to everything else around us. I think that's so easily corrupted.
It's very easily corrupted.
Because it's so easy to say, well, connect to this, but not to that. And who does that benefit? The people who are saying it, who are in power.
Right. I was just thinking about what a different landscape our country would have politically.
Yes.
If we'd let the Native Americans keep their land or paid them a fair price for what land we needed, and had developed this kind of culture of care and caretaking of each other.
Right. I'm kind of picturing in this reality, you have people in all sorts of different cultural, like, clothing.
Yes.
People of all sorts of appearances and shapes and sizes. And, people using, hopefully more, like, advanced mobility aids and things that help them navigate the world in the ways that they need to.
Absolutely. If we come to value diversity for what it is, which is a true strength, I think there would be a lot more acceptance of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
And that would change things tremendously. Like, what if you knew, like, if you were born into a family and you knew that no matter what you were, I guess I'm thinking about sexuality and gender, but no matter what you were, this family was going to love you and accept you, and so was your community.
Well, I'm going to cry now. Yeah. What if that? What would happen?
I think we'd have a lot healthier population, a lot happier population, which would then cause us to take better care of the earth.
Yeah.
Because I think being disconnected is the one thing that makes it okay for some of us to continue to harm the earth.
Right.
Because we can't feel it anymore. It's like we've named Earth as something separate from us, And so we can hurt the earth and not hurt us. And that's not true.
We're dissociating from the earth.
In a way, we're dissociating. And that brings it back to thinking about trauma.
Yeah.
That in a way, we have got to a place where we're so traumatized that we've dissociated because we can't deal with what we've done.
Yeah. And the bear sees that.
And the bear sees that.
Yeah.
He sees that. And he's not always a bear, but in this depiction, he's a bear. He can be whatever he needs to be.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, I don't think a house, I think something more natural.
Do you think it's just what the 6 grandfathers would have looked like before?
Yeah. I think it's what the 6 grandfathers would have looked like before. Maybe the bear has a cave, where he can be cool and rest.
Yeah.
And he communes with this tree.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out, make sure I understand the visual metaphor here. We have a bear spirit kind of snarling at this larger picture of a dystopian sort of place full of this kind of smog and smoke and destruction, and then a smaller like kind of sphere opening up into like this alternate dimension where people are really caring for each other.
Yes, they're caring, they're connected. But then I think he can also see from where he is future of the earth recovering.
Yes.
Without humans.
Yeah.
And what that looks like. So kind of like he or she, they, it's
Sure.
Spirit doesn't have gender.
Yeah.
They are all seeing kind of not fixed in space and time.
Uh-huh.
But
is it like you're saying that the dystopian future is not the end of the branch?
It's not the end of it. There's something after, and then there's something before that could have been different. And think of all the decision points we have in a day.
Yeah, yeah.
At every one of those, we could change something.
Yep.
Which is super empowering to think that we have the power to change the future.
Yeah.
Even though it's true, we don't often think like that.
Right. I mean, we're all doing time travel.
Absolutely. And I think this bear, depending on where you're at in your life, he could be defensive and ferocious.
Yeah.
Almost violent because he's going to protect.
Yeah.
But he could also be kind and caring.
Of course.
Loving and supportive.
Well, Mama Bear.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
What about, do you think that there's a view to something, like maybe it's unclear or foggy, but like some sort of sphere in the roots?
Absolutely. That's the past. That's where it can see like way back to however the earth started.
Yeah. And maybe it's just kind of obscured.
Could be it's going to be foggy.
Foggy.
Maybe a little foggy.
Yeah.
But if he wants to see it, he can.
Mm-hmm. Where is this tree in the bear?
I was trying to think about that. I would think he would be where the Mount Rushmore Visitor Center is.
Okay.
Because I'm sure that was all trees before we cut it down.
So this tree is still on the earth?
It's still on the earth.
Okay. It's not like in a pocket dimension somewhere separate or in space or anything.
It could be, the way I see it is it's on the earth.
Yes, I think that makes sense.
But it's not necessarily in sync with our timeline.
Right.
So he kind of lives outside of time and space.
In this kind of 4th dimensional earth that's kind of worming through past and present and future.
Yes.
Yeah.
And depending on what you believe about time and space will change how you see that. There's lots of different views about how time and space work.
Yeah. Our poor illustrator has to draw like 4 pictures. But
well, can we narrow it down?
Well, I think that's what it is, though, is that you're on the earth looking at this tree, this massive tree, and then if you there's like little like zoom in circles like in an illustration, and like the biggest one is the one of like the cataclysm.
Yes.
And then like the medium one is the possible future, and then you have like this obscured little one that you can see coming from the roots.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. I'm just trying to think how to simplify it a little bit. I wonder if on the card you could have the bear and the tree in the dystopian future, and then you would just have to have like something to show an alternative future, and it wouldn't have to be literal. I mean, it could be.
It's tricky because if the fractal were the arcana, then we could make it the main story.
We could. I mean, we could switch it and make the fractal the arcana, and then the bear would be the object. So it's kind of like the spirit is a tool for Earth.
Is a symbol. Okay. I mean, it's your card.
I know. I'm trying to think about it. So if we made the fractal the arcana, then what would that look like?
I think it would look like we're just zoomed in on the tree, and then we can have these access points through however we want to depict it. Whereas the other way around, we have the spirit looking at something like a tree or the ruins or whatever, and we'd have to figure out how to designate the alternate stuff.
Yeah, I think I like that better.
Which one?
To have the fractal as the arcana.
Okay.
And then put the bite or the bear as a tool, because, you know, that violent or defensive nature is only one tool that the Earth has.
Right.
They have others.
Yeah.
So you could have a similar card with everything the same, except for the tool would not be bite. It might be love or acceptance or something.
So what does this kind of portrait look like in your eyes? What do you see?
In my eyes, I see the tree.
Yes.
And you can see the roots.
Yes.
It's kind of like a cross section.
Okay.
You can see the roots. Not a cross section of the tree, but of the earth. I wanted to make that. Like, you can see the roots coming down, and you can kind of see mountains in the background.
Sure.
And then there's the bear kind of standing here looking at the tree.
Uh-huh.
And you could, I'm trying to think how you could designate what's on the branches.
Yeah.
Because you don't want too much art.
Right.
Yeah, you could even do it with colors. I mean, you could have on this branch just like swirly red and orange, and on this branch like swirly something happier colors.
Right. Or like the health of the branch.
Yes. Like some of the branches could, I love that idea, Autumn. That's smart. Some of the branches could be blooming and just be so healthy, and others might be dying.
Yeah.
What you could do is you could have them draw the whole cycle of life.
Yeah.
And it represent like winter, fall, spring, summer.
Right.
Like a fourth of the tree is dying over here. A fourth of it's like in fall, a fourth of it's in spring, and a fourth of it's in summer. Have you seen those pictures before?
I don't know if I have.
It's like the trees, dead branches, like not dead branches, but no leaves.
Right.
Like in winter.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you see spring, and you see the tree starting to bud.
Uh-huh.
And then you see fall, and the leaves are turning.
Right.
I think I left out summer, but summer is like full in bloom.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so this is not an evergreen.
Okay.
It would be a deciduous.
I mean, I can't help but think of a cherry tree when we're thinking of that.
Interesting.
Like, cherry trees are always like what spring is to me.
Oh, I'm sure there's a story with that.
Well, I mean, I think it's partly just because of my Japanese heritage of just like they are the symbol of new starts.
Oh, I like that very much then.
And the fleeting nature of everything.
And then you've got fruit, so
yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
Is it all the different seasons, or do you think that one of the branches has full fruit and some of the branches have like decaying fruit?
Yes, I think that would be really cool. Full fruit would be like the branches where you can see the happy futures.
Yeah.
And then the decaying fruit would be like the post-apocalyptic picture we were talking about, or maybe even dead.
Okay.
Like those branches look dead. They're black.
Yeah. Yeah. With maybe like one leaf at the end or something.
Something that indicates it's still alive. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So there's this bear is at the Six Grandfathers with this tree. And then some of the branches are healthy and fruitful and bountiful, and some of them are not.
Or not. And everything in between.
And everything in between.
And then the bear's just looking at the tree. I think that's
much more simple.
Simpler, more simple, and would be really visually attractive to people.
I also think that, people are listening to the podcast, so like they will know the deeper meaning behind like what the fruit means. And you can include that in the meaning of the card. Speaking of which, what do we want the card to mean?
What do we want the card to mean?
What are some of the themes?
That the theme is something about balance
and
connection.
Yeah.
And
trauma?
trauma, definitely a trauma theme, a generational trauma theme. Because we're talking about Earth, we go back to day one. There's been a lot of trauma.
Yeah. Do you think that's like the inverted meaning?
I do.
It's like dissociation and disconnection,
Yeah, dissociation, disconnection,
chaos, anger,
anger, despair.
despair. Yeah. What about the upright?
So the upright meaning would be connection,
Connection.
contentment,
Okay. Acceptance.
acceptance,
Care.
care. Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm trying to think. Acceptance, care, healing.
Yeah.
Healing, recovery,
Yeah.
new birth, new life.
Yeah. Because we have the resources we need to heal. We just need to be able to tap into them, and they're within each other and the world.
I agree with that. We do have the resources. We need to do what needs to be done, but we are struggling at the moment to be able to access those resources.
We are.
So I think the card could be positive,
Yeah.
but it could also be negative.
Maybe it's either none or all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the meaning of this card then would be.
Connection, care.
So if I were to read you, like, this card means that.
So this card would mean that you need to be, we won't say it like that, but you need to be looking for ways to find more connection,
Yeah.
to care, to show care more to others, to show acceptance to yourself, to show care to yourself.
Right.
And others, because the self is part of the earth.
Right.
Nature and all of that.
I like that. I like that.
To find balance, to find, and maybe even to find, what's the right word, congruence with your own values.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's connection too.
That is connection. Would you see that as connection to self?
I want to say yes, but like something's holding me back from saying
Something's
yes.
holding me back too from saying yes. After I said it, I was like, that's not right. But I think it's connection to something bigger than ourselves. So it's not really connection with self, but it's connecting self to something more.
The spirit?
Yeah, I think so.
I was talking to somebody and I was saying, like, we think of spirituality as, like some kind of religion or something. But I think it speaks to like the spirit of the person, of the earth, of anything. Just what is spirit? It is will and hope and the desire to keep existing.
I like that definition. Will, hope, the desire to keep existing. I do think there's a connection piece there that comes with that, but I don't know what it is.
A connection piece?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean?
Look, if you're talking about what is spirit, I think spirit also is a form of connection to other people.
It's relationship.
It's a relationship.
Context.
Yeah. Kind of like your relationship with yourself, but more than that, your relationship with the greater, bigger picture of humanity. Us.
Yeah.
It's about us instead of you and me.
Right. Right.
And one of those values that I see when I think about that is this idea that when we do something in our life, we think about how everyone and everything around us will be affected by that before we take any action.
Yeah.
And are we living that? Are we in congruence with that would be the question for this card, I think.
What do we call this card?
That is a good question. I have to think about it. Something about connection, the earth. What have you called some of the other ones so I can...
Usually they start with the, and so we have things like the ruins anew. The storyteller is one that we had in the last episode.
I like that.
We had the reunited, and the sparks reflection was the other one. We also had the rising tide.
Oh, I like that too.
It often describes something in the card, but also has a thematic like tie to everything else.
That's what I was trying to think of, something that would tie it all together. Like you could look at it as trauma, or you could look at it as connection, as the metaphor of the earth. Do all of that. So
I don't want to steer you, but I have one that I can't get off of my head.
Okay, then it's probably important to say out loud.
One that I keep thinking about is the tree of us.
Oh, I like that one.
I don't know.
I was thinking something like the tree of humanity.
Yeah.
Or the tree, but it's not just about humans.
Right.
The tree, Hmm. I like the tree.
I think it has to have that like all of us
All of
thought
us
though.
included with it. But
Yeah.
I want to include animals and the earth itself is what I was trying to think of how to say that. I mean, we can't call it that, but the tree of life is what came to my
I
head.
know.
But we can't call it that.
I know.
That's in the Bible. We don't want those connotations.
Well, I mean, Tree of Life has lots of connections to lots of cultures,
Yeah.
but
The spirit of the tree,
the Tree of Spirit?
the tree of spirit, maybe? The tree of connection. I don't like that one.
The branches?
Hmm. We've also got the fractal.
Mm-hmm.
The fractal tree.
The branching something?
The branching. The tree and the bear.
Yeah.
That can be simple.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm running out of ideas, Autumn. I like us in there. That's lovely.
The branching us?
Could be. I don't think that's it yet, though.
We'll keep going.
Keep going. The branching us.
Fruit of us.
That's good. The tree of possibility.
Tree of possibility.
I like that one.
You like that one?
Mm-hmm. But it doesn't have to be that one.
What leads you to that one? Because I feel like it's really close.
I think it's close too. I don't think it's 100%, but I think it's close. I like that one because it infers that nothing is set.
Yeah.
Like we don't have control, but we have ability to make choices.
What was it that you called it again?
The tree of possibilities.
The tree of our possibilities?
Mm-hmm. The spirit of possibility.
Mm. The spirit of possibility has a ring to it.
It does. It does. There's kind of a protective, but maybe I'm putting that in and it doesn't need to be there. Because I'm going back to trauma and seeing this part as a protective part.
Sure, yeah.
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 Tree of protection and possibility. It's kind of long. Because we've decided the tree is a fractal.
Yep.
And that's the spirit. And it can use this bare thing that can be really anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, I think about that like I think about the Christian myth of God creating the earth.
Right.
Like the tree can just take some earth and make whatever it wants to
Right.
represent itself with.
Yeah.
The tree of hope and despair.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? It contains multitudes.
Yeah, it's not just positive.
Right.
It almost comes back to a classic good and evil, or
Right.
I don't think anything's that dichotomous, but
Do we go back to just something with tree and spirit?
yeah. I was trying to think of how to work like fractal in, but I can't.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get fractal out of it.
I don't think we will.
Because that's not necessarily what it's about.
It's not what it's about.
It's a good starting point, but...
I was trying to think of something to indicate that it's not fixed in time and space.
The eternal...
Oh, I like
something...
that. The eternal...
Spirit tree?
I kind of like that. The eternal spirit tree.
You look like you're thinking of one more piece.
I am. The eternal spirit. I was trying to figure out if we could leave tree out of it.
Yeah.
Because tree is just a corporeal representation.
That's true.
It could be any fractal
Yeah.
that could represent
The eternal branches.
Eternal branches. I like eternal. The eternal spirit of hope and despair.
Can be as long as you want it to
I
be.
know, but I'm trying to make it easier. Could just call it the eternal.
Yeah. Marvel might get mad at this though.
I know. I was thinking that. Oops. Probably can't do that. It was something to depict the hope and the, like, there's hope in this for a brighter future, but there's also the possibility of the dystopia.
I keep thinking of a phrase, I forget what it's called, the great perhaps, I think. Is it like the eternal perhaps?
Maybe. I was thinking something like involving the roots and the branches.
Yeah, yeah. The eternal whole with a W.
Oh, I like that. Yes, I like that. The eternal whole.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that what stands out to you?
I think that's what stands out to me.
Do you want to call it that?
Maybe. Let me think about it a little
Think
bit
about
more.
it, yeah.
Let's see. Because I really like that, because that gets that, what I wanted was that we're all one
Yeah.
We're all connected. We can't separate ourselves from others and
Right.
expect to be okay.
Yeah.
But that's that concept of what you do to one person, you do to all people.
Right.
Animals, too. So what did you say?
The eternal whole.
The eternal whole. Yes, I like that. And we can talk about the metaphor of the tree and the roots of the past and the branches.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
Okay, the eternal whole.
Okay.
With a W. Whole.
Okay. I think we
Right.
got a card.
I think we do. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, one more thing before we go.
Okay.
Can you help me pick out 3 new cards to add to the deck?
Yes, I can. I don't know what you already have.
I'll tell you if you have one that we already
Okay.
have.
So I was thinking about my little dog Gracie and how to represent her.
Of course.
Because she's so caring and loving, and she comes to work as a therapy dog and just gives of herself,
Yeah.
regardless of the person and what they're going through. She just like somehow instinctively knows when they need comfort and you know, when they need to be left alone and when they need deep pressure on their legs. Or
I mean, isn't it in her name?
Gracie, yeah.
Grace?
Yeah,
Because I think that covers a lot of what you just said.
I think it does too. So I think Grace would be the, what did we call it, archon?
Oh, it doesn't have to have assigned yet. That's
Okay.
for somebody else to assign.
Oh, somebody else gets to decide it. Okay, so Grace.
Grace.
And then what else?
Anything that evokes a vibe.
Yeah. So as far as, do you have the mycelium network yet?
No.
I want to use that one.
It's a mycelium. Yeah.
The network itself.
Okay.
Do you know what that looks like? It's just grows under the ground.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
It's connected, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of like a spider web.
Yeah. I try to keep it to one word, so I'm not sure which of
So
those.
mycelium.
Mycelium. Okay.
Yeah. Mycelium, Grace, and then we need one more. Do you have authenticity?
No.
I would like to say authenticity.
Yeah.
Those are my 3. Mycelium, Grace, and authenticity.
I love it.
Great.
Awesome. I've also loved this time that we've been able to have together. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you coming on, and I think you made something really beautiful with this card.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
And that brings us to the end of our show. A huge thanks to our wonderful guest. You can find us at our usual places on your favorite podcatcher or on otherworldsoracles.podbean.com. Thanks for joining us. And remember that magic is creation, and creation is magic. Take care.